Yowie wowie! Heyo, everybody. Whew. I hope everyone's ready for a nice, lazy Sunday stream. Nothing too fancy or schmancy, but maybe even a little. Today's not really more of a podcast per se. It's just a excuse to go live because I've been really wanting one, right? Before we get started, just want to say hey to everyone. I see in the chat right now. What's up, Kooky? What's up, J-Dub? What's up, Jeremy? KP, always a pleasure. Swiss Crypto Guy. Tarsal. Freaking love you guys. What's up, Bullet? So what we're going to do first is I want to go over a little bit of the Seer, obviously, because we just picked this guy up. We finally got it. Who would have thought that the next class coming out was going to be the one that came out in order? So, I mean, since this has been the way it's been going, right? We've got our Archer Knight Priest that came out originally. Warrior was the first codex that came out afterwards, right? That was the first playable class afterwards. Now we've got Seer. I think we can kind of tell the direction they're going and what we can expect to see for the next class after this one. But before we get going, can everybody tell me if my my levels are okay, my volume's all right? I don't want to be too crazy loud. Just say hey. You're way too loud. Give everybody a couple more minutes to hop in before we begin as well. Sweaty hardcore Sunday stream. Yeah, here we go. I mean, it might turn into that. I picked up a game recently, and I mean, it's insanely highly reviewed, and it gives you the old classic like Fire Emblem vibes, but with like modern overproduction, and it's like mega complicated. And I might just fire that up today after we talk about the Seer for a minute. It's gonna be pretty damn. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Also, if at any point anyone wants to like have a chat, again, this is not scripted. I have no real plans at what's going on. I just want to hang out. I got nothing going on this lazy Sunday. And if you guys want to chat, ask questions, by all means, go ahead. And if you want, I mean, let's hop in Discord. Let's talk about stuff. Let's talk about the Seer. Let's talk about some game theory and why the Seer is probably going to be one of the more powerful assets we get, and how what we see here is most likely not what we're going to get. Oh, Rubetto, by the way, thank you for the resub, man. I saw that. I sat back down and I was like, oh, dang, someone subbed. Oh, it's Rubetto, of course. One of my all-time biggest fans. But yeah, let's get started, because, I mean, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about with the Seer. It's like an ultra support, but it fills like 3 different roles, right? So we've got like a healer, support, DPS, and then we've got 3 different checkboxes, right? Usually they're not the best at everything, but they're really, really, really good disruptors, right? So the way I see this is you're going to have your damage build, you're going to have your support build, right, with your healing, and then you're just going to have total disruption anti-support build, right? You're just going to have a crazy debuff team, or you're going to have a crazy buff team. But we're going to talk about like the future proofing, right? So this was the first class that really fit into the idea of what every class was going to be, right? Because I remember Workhorse was saying that he wanted to go through and redo all of the classes because he had passives set on level 1 for all of them, for a lot of them at least, and he wanted to instead make sure all of the level 1s had an ability right off the bat and switch the level 2s to passive. So Seer was kind of the first iteration of, let's try it this way. And I think this is what they stuck with. So I don't think we're going to see a disruption to what the feel, like the overall feel of the Seer is going to be. But what I think we're going to see is a disruption to the effectiveness of the Seer, especially within the first 5. And I know I talk about future proofing quite a lot, right? And in terms of future proofing, we're looking at abilities like the Astrologer and the Artificer, right? Those are triple S rated. We're looking at Purification Stone because it was low rated, right? And we're looking at Counterspell, right? Because that was insanely high rated. So what we usually see with future proofing is, like, say you take my ratings and place them on a bell curve, right? You're going to see a lot in the middle with S's and single S's, right? Single S, double S, and then on the far end you're going to see triple S and WowE, right? If you've got a nice bell curve, and then on the low end you're going to see the A's and the B's, and sometimes anything below that, which is just completely useless. I'm looking at U speed, but yeah, Sticks Intern, you're right. Like Seer is dated. Specifically because of the pre-speed formula. But I mean, we can rethink the way they work based on the new speed formula. So I mean, which one was it? Was it Future Sight? Which one was the agility buff? Right here, Haste. So Haste was an increased effective agility to target for a duration of X. And the agility is a function of wisdom and intelligence mixed together, right? So I don't think this is necessarily going to change outside of maybe instead of an agility buff, it might be a straight up like speed buff where you're going to be changing the speed formula specifically to gain extra speed and not the extra effects that agility gives you. I would like it to remain an agility buff because an agility buff versus a speed buff means that you're going to get more opportunities out of an agility buff. But I mean, I don't think anybody's going to say nay to a speed buff. You know what I'm saying? I have to clean my entire house after this afternoon so we can just stream for the next 3 hours. Yeah, friends, here's the beautiful part. I feel like I'm probably going to be going to like at least 8 p.m. So, I mean, in true fashion, I'll probably be streaming for quite some time. Is there any tree where intelligence might be more important than Wiz, or Wiz more king throughout? I mean, wisdom seems to be the go-to so far for the Seer. I don't know whether it's going to be a higher function on one or the other. I have a feeling that Oracle's probably going to be more heavily wisdom-based, where Artificer's going to be more heavily intelligence-based. That's just how it usually goes. Like if you've got... I think Seer is loosely based off of the like Artificer class in Dungeons & Dragons, right? Where there's 2 ways you can go. Well, there's multiple ways, but the 2 main ways to go are basically like an engineer and tinkerer and an alchemist. And the alchemist wants to go off of wisdom and intelligence, and the engineer wants to go straight intelligence only, right? But because we don't have any numbers added to the functions, we don't really know yet, but this is just my guess. And if I've learned anything, my guesses are pretty spot on. First strike mechanics are the ones that need to be that have the biggest rework coming. Yeah, no, they really do. Yeah. This was one counterspell. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So the functions of the first one, I want to talk about the future proofing, right? And I think the most balanced across the board is usually the level 1 abilities, because they're not insanely impactful, but they're usually a pretty staple to either the beginning of any rotation, or like for priest, the level 1 heal is predominantly the only one I use, right? Because it's just so cheap, and it's just, well, what's the word? It's reliable, right? It's cheap and it's reliable. I could do it forever. And the more defensive my front line is, the better, right? I get more value out of having better built characters because of it. So I get to take advantage of the mana cost. I don't get to burn out anytime soon. Oh my god, I'm thirsty. All right, so let's talk about Future Sight real quick. Oh, and just to preface this as well, Maddie and I will be going over this stuff pretty in depth. I wanted to do a little light touch on the Seer Codex here because, I mean, come on. We've got the real Codex, the reworked Codex coming out soon. So there's no reason to go into any of the, the 10 pluses or anything like that unless, we want to talk like super future speculation. But I'd say that in terms of the level 10, the tier 6s, the Seer is probably the least future-proof classes we've seen. What's up, Cassius? Nice you to join, man. But yeah, they're probably good. This is probably going to see the most reworks we're going to see so far. Oh man, he still has to get approved by Bogside Corporate to make an appearance. I forgot about that. He really needs to get on that. I'll have my lawyer draft up something. Oh, wait, that's right. You got a 20-hour stream coming. We got to break that record, and not by just a couple minutes, by almost double. We got to go for a 20-hour stream rather than the 13-hour one we did previously. But yeah, let's talk Future Sight real quick. Turkey gains a certain percentage of evasion for a duration, right? And then the new mechanic is going to be delay. So when they were saying we have to put in this whole new mechanism for the game to play in order to release the new class, to me, all I heard was that's either delay or that is the battle budget. And they threw me off, right? They threw me off. I thought that because they implemented the battle budget with the bring your own potions, I thought they were going to throw a curveball and throw Thief at us, which I was very excited for. Let's see. But no, the mechanical implementation they were talking about was delay. And with delay, they needed to get the speed bar to work appropriately. And they released the delay mechanic with the burb hunt. So we've all seen how it works. What's up, J-Dub? Yeah, on the YouTube chat is Hobbit. I was over here talking to myself. I mean, the Twitch, I like to simul stream specifically because I know a lot of people were saying that they were having some issues with Twitch having to make an account, and like some people couldn't chat without having like a phone number and stuff like that. So I thought I might hit YouTube, and I know everybody's a lot more familiar with YouTube, and I'm pretty sure 95% of all DFK streams are on YouTube anyway. So I thought, why not? Plus, I mean, in order to get that monetization goal, right, you got to have like 3,000 watch hours, which is nuts. So why not, right? But so we've got Future Sight, we've got an evasion buff, and then after delay, you're healed. We can assume that the delay is going to be like one turn, but now that we have the speed bar, we can say that like it might be 1,500 initiative, right? So it might be a turn and a half. It could be 750 initiative, right? So it'd be 3/4 of a turn later. It's really interesting how this could be brought up. And I really want to understand that if you've got a better speed formula, do the delays that you set get affected, right? So say, for instance, that this delay is 1,000 initiative, which for like the Seer is one whole turn, but the rate at which they gain that initiative is the Seer's speed, right? And I want to know that if my Seer has a faster or higher speed, more agility, does that affect the delay initiative gain? I don't know if KP, if you can send a like message in the Slack channel. I know it's Sunday and nobody is probably gonna answer, but it might be pretty interesting. It's, you know what, that's a really good, I'm hearing Bolon right now in the back of my head going, that's a really good AMA question. You should please submit that, please. Everybody, please submit a question. I'm expecting this week's AMA to be pretty poppin', right? Oh yeah, it's definitely a Hubert question. But yeah, so the main question I've got right now for everyone who's just joining is, do the delay effects are they influenced by the caster's speed? Because I have a big feeling that if we've got delay subclasses out, right? And then we've got, like, for instance, really fast main classes, right? Like we've got a ninja seer, right? And people are usually like, that's not that great, blah 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 blah, whatever. But if you've got like a really fast main class that's just like pumping out turns, and then you're allowed to set delays with really fast speed injections, those delays might come up extremely fast, and they might even essentially be almost like casting a regular ability if they come up super fast. That's a good question, France. Is Hubert back on this next AMA? That's right. I forgot he's got his own Gen 1s coming in. Oh, he's doing good. That's super cool. But right, digressing. So an evasion buff with a heal delay. I think this is really good. It's really useful, especially in like a sustained fashion. I hope it's going to be impactful, because most of the impact is going to be in the evasion buff. And you can see that the idea behind this is we're going to help you take 0 damage, and if you take some damage, we're going to make it as if you took close to 0 damage by healing you, right? And this is a straight wisdom. People who have like a priest seer, like this is a better turn 1 than the priest's prayer of healing, right? Because in the very beginning of the match, you've got no damage essentially to heal unless your whole team is super slow, right? So if you've got a tier 1, you can't really use your tier 1. Sometimes you want to use a buff instead. You're kind of just sitting on your hands turn 1. But Future Sight as a turn 1 is incredibly useful because of the evasion buff that you get immediately. And if they take damage turn 1, bam, it comes back. They get the heal. So this is a more efficient use. I think this is super future proof. I've really liked this ability. I think it's very well rounded, and most of the impact is going to come in from what the evasion buff is. If it's a 5% evasion buff, that sucks. That's gonna hurt. If it's 15%, that's gonna be really nice. I think probably like 12.5 to 15% is gonna be a sweet spot, because it's not gonna be insanely impactful, but keeping it up over the long run is really useful, especially because you can only put it on one person, right? And then we're talking about haste, right? Astrologer Tree is super interesting. It's full support, and I really enjoy it. You can play the Astrologer Tree, like specifically if you get like a potato. If you got like a potato seer, you're looking at the Astrologer Tree. Like if you got a potato seer and you want it to do work, yet you've got like this cracked out, super roided warrior that's just like a DPS god, this just makes it better, right? So increase the effective agility of a target by a function of wisdom and intelligence for a duration of probably two turns. But it's just a speed buff and an evasion buff, effectively, right? The evasion buff's probably not going to be as good as the evasion focused ability, but I mean, agility does more than speed. It also does evasion. It also does. Is there any agility based abilities out there yet that deal damage on higher agi? I don't know why I feel like there is. I feel like the thief has one. I know they're mostly dex and strength and luck, but I feel like somebody's got an agility ability. And just because it rhymes real well. I really want some agility abilities. Ninja better have some agility abilities. I want Ninja to have nothing but luck, dex, and agility abilities. But this is just good. And it's of the target. It's most likely going to be that word needs to be changed to ally. But my old remarks here, speed buff that you can use on any target, that's probably going to change, which means not only can you boost your own team, but also boost your enemy as well. Great for disruption and turn order and shortening the life of a buff on a channel or ability. I really enjoyed playing around with that idea, and the idea here was, say they had a knight in the front line that was just soaking damage like crazy, right? And they threw up a buff that was a damage reduction buff, and it's like, oh man, that's just gonna make everything take way longer. I just need, as soon as that buff is gone, I'll be able to do something, right? And then instead of casting speed on your own characters to cycle through, you would cast speed on their tank to get that buff off the tank sooner. And I really like that idea, but if haste functions in this way, regardless, I don't think they're definitely going to change the of target to of target ally. 100% this is getting changed. There's no way that's going to be that complicated of an ability. And because we have an evasion buff with a heal and then an agility buff, which is speed and evasion, I have a feeling that there's going to be more involved with haste. I think haste is going to do probably a little bit more than what it does right now. So on a scale of like 1 to 5 for future proofing, 1 being like it's not going to get touched, and 5 being there's absolutely no way it's going to stay the same it is right now, I'd probably give this like a 2, maybe a 2.5, right? Like it's already pretty good. It's pretty simple, but it might be a little too simple from what we've seen. Right, like priest is pretty simple for, okay, yeah, it's a heal, but then we've got deal damage and a status, and for 3 turns, you know what I mean, stack limit 2 is pretty complicated level 1 already, and then we've got cleansing gift, heal, and cleanse, right? So it's not complicated, really complicated, a little complicated. No, not really, just, you know, we got a 1, a 5, and then maybe a 4, and then a 2 on the complication scale. So I have a feeling that there's going to be more added to this, right? Yeah, no, seriously, Mega, I can't wait to see how the Codex actually turns out either, because I know, personally, I know that Workhorse has been very excited for the Seer Codex for a long time. I talked to him on Discord a while ago, and he sent me, tell everyone I said this, and he just put this Pepe with a smug tea sipping smile. Like he knows what he's doing with this. But yeah, I think this is pretty solid. It's probably not going to change much. If anything, they're going to add more to it. It's going to increase effective agility for duration as well as do something else. If there's any change, and quite frankly, I don't think I would change my rating on it. So for the first Artificer ability, we got Warstone, which is channel for a duration of X, deal magical damage to target enemy, and it's just straight up magic damage with a Wiz Int mod, which I'm sure that's what Priest had. Oh, Priest was just Int and spell. So this I wasn't so thrilled with, and quite frankly, if I were to regrade this, unless this did like a stupid amount of damage, I'd probably give this a B. I like that there's a damage ability, but for the high fantasy portions of, you know, what we've seen the Seer doing, as far as like it does these crazy disruptive reality bending, fourth wall breaking things at higher levels, this seems almost a little bit disappointing in terms of just general function, right? My old remarks were lowest cost magic damage ability in the game so far. It was because it was, I think, the only, and I think Wrath, the Holy Light, what used to be Wrath, was I think a 4 tier 4 ability. So, straightforward and to the point. Wiz and int scaling. Value heavily relies on multipliers. The true rating will be revisited when we get those. I would probably rate this lower. I'd probably rate this lower. Honestly, I'd probably rate haste a little bit lower than what it is right now as well. But I'd probably rate this a B, maybe even a C, just because it's just a straight damage move, and I'm almost positive that no one has a straight damage move anymore. In the very beginning, like even the archer, right? They're damaging abilities, but like this one has an effect, right? Each hit has a 20% critical strike chance. This one's a it's a channel with damage, a chance to stun, and 10% accuracy. Like, whoa. And we've got piercing shot, which is a 40% additional pierce. Like, it's a basic attack with flavor, right? But with the Seer, which is supposed to be one of the most flavorful classes, this has almost no flavor to it, right? So on a scale, on the future proof scale, which I should probably put like, future. Why not? There we go. What's going on here? Why can't I change these values? What am I in read only? What's going on here? I think I am in read only. Whoops. I'm not signed into the right one. This is my actual email address, not just my not my WoWy one. All right, so I'll just make one later, and we'll talk about like how much future proof it is. For Warstone, I'm giving it a future proofing of 5. There's no way this is staying the same. So again, the scale is on a 1 to 5. I guess it's a future proof scale. 5 should be the most future proof, and 1 should be the least. That makes sense. I was doing that backwards. My bad. So I'm going to give this a 1. I'm going to give this a 1 on the future proof scale. It's not future proof at all. There's not enough flavor to it. It's a whiz int modifier. It's probably going to be very equal in damage to a much more complicated ability that's just an int mod, right? But with extra effects. So Warstone's going to get changed. Period. End of story. It's probably still going to be a damage ability, but it's going to do a lot more. So, I would get ready for that. So we've got a buff, we've got a damage ability, right? 2 supports and a damage. I have a feeling that they're probably going to go for team support, self-support, and then some sort of offense. That's the way I view them switching this up. Either team support in the way of either buffing the whole team or doing some sort of disruption to the other team, right? Then some sort of general benefit for self or team, and then for offensive disruptions whatsoever. But yeah, there's no future proofing that's going to be happening with this one right here. It's going to change. Period. End of story. Everybody says something to consider is that the lore of the Artificer path suggests Seers don't tap into their own mana pool to use these abilities. That's true. I always forget about lore, and I really shouldn't. So, this might be really interestingly flavored, where instead of just like it casts a spell at a rock and you throw a rock and it hurts, right? This is probably going to go the route of like the D&D 5th edition Artificer, where it's like you create a gun and it's a single shot and it hurts a lot, and then it has some sort of an effect when you shoot it, and then it's not usable after that and it goes away, right? So I still think it's going to be offensive. I think it's going to have way more effect to it. I'd be changing this rating to a B if it stays this way, unless it just did a ton of damage, because let's be honest, channeling for a duration and then doing something at level 1 without any additional effects, it's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Because even Precision Strike, at least you channel for 1 turn, and at least it does a bunch of damage and it has an effect and then it gives you a buff. Like, there's a lot going on there. So, our tier 2s, and this is probably the most hype ability passive in the game right now. Oracle. This hero cannot attack or deal physical or magical damage to enemies this battle. If this hero casts an ability that would deal damage, that damage is instead reduced to 0. This hero gains first strike. If there are 2 or more seers on the battlefield with first strike, the seer with the highest agility acts first. This is getting I'd say half of this at least is getting reworked. I think they want to keep the first half of this where you can't deal physical or magical damage, and if you use an ability that would deal damage, it's reduced to 0 instead, which we learned, I believe, in the Thief Codex, where you deal physical damage to target enemy equal to 0, right? Things like these are supposed to be for specific effects. So if you were to have something along the lines of, like, say, a Seer Thief, you can grab the Oracle and be hyper support focused with a gigantic speed injection, and then probably be able to pull off these 0 damage abilities with these crazy good effects with them as well. Like, that's probably one of the really nice combos that are going on here. Hero gains first strike. This will probably function very similarly if they keep it this way, right? Instead of getting first strike, it's going to be this hero acts first in battle. So when the match starts, this seer will go first. Just period. Like, I mean, even if you've got like a thief seer, right? A thief main class, and you're going full sabotage build, right? You're just going full support. You can get all of your like super nasty setups with all of your extra effects from the thief and messing with the battle budget. Have an insanely fast speed, because this will just make you faster and like regardless. And you'll be able to set up first. You'll be useless for dealing damage otherwise, but it'll be really interesting to see the payoff between can I or won't I deal damage versus how much support can I possibly pump out, right? Whew. Grab a drink. But yeah, this is supposed to turn you into a pure support class. I know for a fact that Bolon is extremely excited about this. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting pieces of the game for sure, especially because it ties into a lot of the later game stuff where the damage isn't the draw, but the effect is the draw. So what its idea is to be so supportive that it replaces the impact of a single character and distributes it between the other 2 characters remaining. Or it just keeps you around for a massive amount of disruption in general. Let's see. We got Astrologer. All allies gain X effective agility. This is just a straight... Oh, that's right. The Oracle, future proofing. I'm going to say if they change anything to this, they're actually going to add more to it. For future proofing, I'd say this has probably got like a 3. Like, they're definitely going to add stuff to it. I'd say like maybe a 4. Okay. So like a 3.5, 4. They're going to keep this the way they want, right? They really want to do this and make it so that you're not doing nothing. However, they're probably going to add more effects to it because it might be a little bit too rough to have 0 damage coming from an entire unit. Yeah, no, Rubetta, you're completely right. You can immediately put an opponent on the defensive. You can set up first. You've got a lot of options, right? And you can like probably mold the battlefield to what is advantageous to you, or at the least disadvantageous to your opponent. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that we're going to see more Seer play in the PvP mode than we're probably going to see like archers because it's going to be just so much fun. The Astrologer, allies gain X effective agility. This is a team-wide buff forever. Like, for simplicity's sake, this is incredible. And the more agility your team has, the more benefit it gets out of this. And if it's anything like the Knights... wait, do I have the new Knight abilities up? I thought I changed this. I did not. I don't even have Mighty Strike in there. Oh, well. Well, you guys know what I'm talking about for... I think it's the tier 4. Or is it tier... It's either tier 4 or tier 2 passive. That increases the strength and endurance of the Knight by like a certain percentage. And it basically makes it like 4 levels higher in strength and endurance growth. Like, this is going to do the exact same thing, but your entire team. I think this is actually quite a simple and elegant little ability here. I don't think they're going to change it, because I think they're going to want, like I said, this is the self-support, team support, offensive lineup tree, right? So I think this is actually going to stay. This has got like a 4 out of 5 on the future proof, right? Like, I think this is going to probably stay very much the same. And if not, they're going to rework this entirely, and it's going to be a kind of like how the pirate works, where it's roll a d20 at the start of battle and reroll every X durations, increase, heroes something by a certain percentage, but rather than being only self-serving like for the pirate, where it increases this hero's dex, luck, strength, it's going to be increases the team's whatever, and it's probably going to change over the course of battle, because I'm sure they're going to want to look at the high fantasy of the Astrologer, looking up at the stars, pulling out the cards like in Final Fantasy XIV and doing something cool. Changing the battle ever so often. They might even... No, they wouldn't change this into an ability. To like draw a card or something like that. Might be kind of cool though. Might be like random buffs, random effects added on. I can see that. Yeah, future proofing, I'm giving this like a 4. If they do change it, they're probably going to rework it entirely. It's probably going to still have this same general thing, but it's going to have like a much higher complication added to it. So with the Artificer, we've got starting from this hero's first turn and reapplying every X durations for the remainder of the battle, this hero's entire party gains a barrier with a value equal to X% of a whiz mod of this hero's max HP. This is really good. Like, there's a reason why I gave this a triple S. It's really, really, really good. Quite frankly, I'd probably put it near the top of passive abilities that we've seen so far over any of the classes. Let's see, Warrior. Did this change? No, I didn't. Oh my god, I'm terrible. I only did the Archer and the Priest. So this is what we're going to go over on Monday. Or wait, that's tomorrow. We're going to go over this tomorrow, right? Maddie and I are going to redo some of these for sure. But say this is one of those ones where because the Seer, I think, has the lowest HP growth, this is one of those ones where you want it on a subclass like forever. Having a like Paladin with a Seer subclass, this is what that is for. Like this, if you've got a Paladin and you go just this, right? You could do all your Paladin abilities and then just select this one. Because it's only based off the caster's max HP. This is going to be absolutely insane. Like, there's going to be entire teams that will be built around this. I don't think this is extremely future-proof. I like the idea behind it. I think they're going to keep something similar, but I think they're going to probably rework this ability entirely because it's just too good. If anything, if they don't touch this ability, this is going up to tier 4 or tier 5. Like, that's how good this ability is comparatively. is just too insane. Even if it's 5%, right? If it's 5% of this player's HP, right? I know everyone out there has got a paladin at level 15 that's, well, maybe not everyone, but I mean, by level 15, a paladin can easily hit 1,000 HP. You know what I mean? And a 50 HP barrier every 2 or 3 turns is an insane amount of mitigation over 100 turns of a battle. You know what I mean? Like, this is what stall comps are made of. It's right here. And there's a way to improve it, right? Because not only is it's not just a flat percentage. It starts at a flat percentage and goes up by a function of your whiz. And paladins have really good whiz growth. So, I mean, if you're looking at like going far into the future and you've got a level 50 paladin with, you know, well, we'll say 5,000 HP, which it's going to have way more than that. It'll have 5,000 HP, and it'll have, and if you're just going for this strategy, you're going straight endurance, wisdom, vitality, right? Or vitality, endurance, wisdom, and you're just going for this insanely good tank. Like, you're probably going to get this up to like a 10% kind of deal, and you're going to have a 500 HP team-wide shield. So not only does this like help him do his job of mitigating damage to begin with, but it helps your squishies in the back. It just gives them 500 temp HP. You know what I mean? Like, that's huge. And it's not a heal, right? So it effectively increases the maximum HP of your target by a percentage, a flat percentage added onto a whiz function. This is nuts. This is probably, like I said, this is the best level 2 passive we've seen. I think it's going to get reworked. If it stays anywhere near the same as what it is right now, it's going to a tier 5. It's going to a tier 4. It's going up there. Future proofing, I'll probably give this like a 2. Give it 2 out of 5. Yeah, no, Rubetta, you're completely right. Yeah, it's a great pick for tanks. If you've got a, like what? If you've got like even a Night Seer with this ability just to pick up, right? It's based off of, yeah, it's a whiz mod, but it's a flat percentage with a whiz function added to it. So the whiz really doesn't matter, probably until you get way far into the game. At the very beginning, this is just going to make you flat better. It's so good. But yeah, moving on. A future proofing of 2 out of 5. I don't see this staying the same, and if it does, it's getting moved way up higher. We got tier 3s. We got our Sanctuary, right? Target ally gains X% block for a duration of X. Delay X. Target is healed equal to a whiz int function, right? I don't know if I like this that much. Because this is effectively worse than the level 1 evasion buff. Because if we've learned anything, it's block is not always better than a miss, right? Yeah, you can block a hit for 200 and it becomes a hit for, 20. I mean, that's great. But a hit for 0 is even better. Just saying. Let's see. Subclass passives stay active, so why not have a 3 Seer subclasses? Like, yeah, 100%. Now, I mean, they might do barriers. Like, that's a really good point, friends. And, like, they might do barriers kind of like how temp HP, temporary hit points, is in Dungeons & Dragons. And in 5th edition right now, temporary hit points do not stack. They just replace each other. So, for instance, say I've got 5 temp HP, which in D&D terms would be a barrier for 5, right? Rather than say I get another temp HP buff of 6, right? Rather than them adding together and now I have an 11 HP barrier, that 6 instead replaces the 5, and I have a barrier for 6 rather than 5. Even if I got hit, right? So say my 5 barrier gets hit, and I've got, 1 point on the barrier left, and I get that rebuff of the 6 HP barrier, it's going to 6. It doesn't get added to it. So I can see that being the limiting factor. But I mean, let's say there's a staggering, right? Like there might be an interesting way to stagger if you've got a seer with say you got a seer with double resurrect, right? I know this is just like an insane hypothetical, but say you got a seer with double resurrect, and it's a seer, right? Support king. And you've got 2 berserkers, and they're berserker seers, and they deal all this damage, they kill themselves, right? They go all out, they kill themselves, they deal a lot of self damage. And then your hyper support seer uses resurrect on one and then uses resurrect on the other, and say that the artificer is every 3 durations, right? Every 3 turns it re-ups. Well, now you've got a cycling of your seer, your berserker 2, and now you're getting re-upped, right, for those barriers every single turn. So I like the way this is. I really like this ability. I think it's really, really, really interesting. But it's there's a lot of ways to break it, I guess, is to say, and to make it way better than what a tier 2 ability should be capable of. I mean, we've got tier 2 abilities in the form of while channeling gets 20% evasion, right? Attacks get a dex scaling critical strike chance, right? 5% spell, 10% healing potency, and everyone gets an HP barrier based off of the HP of the caster. Every so many turns, and this keeps going forever. Like, this is so vastly overtuned for what we can expect right now, right? So it's gonna get reworked no matter what. They might change this into something completely different, and if they don't, it's gonna be a higher tier ability. Sanctuary, again, it just target ally gains X% block for a duration of X, delay X, target is healed. I don't like this. I think it's cool if you're going for like a block comp, but I don't think it's better than Future Sight. Taking a block and taking an evade, the difference is I take some damage and a potential effect from the attack, or I take 0 damage and no effect from the attack. This is going to get reworked entirely. I give this a 1 out of 5 on future proofing. This is not going to function this way at all, unless that block chance is like 50%. If it's like something insane, this will stay exactly the way it is. And that's the only way I can see this staying anything like that. We got Time Sink and the Astrologer. Let's see. Slow target by a duration of X, delay X, deal magical damage to target equal to the target's agility. That's pretty cool. So this is probably going to get reworked into the difference in target's agility between the caster and the target. I think that would be pretty cool. Slow debuffs are always great to have. I would never say no to this. I think a way to make this more interesting would be to have this be an AoE rather than a single target. Right? Just like with every AoE, you have a chance to hit, you have a chance to miss, you have a chance to, apply the effect. I think this would be more interesting in like disrupting the big major turn order idea. I gave this a single S before. It's a slow debuff with spell damage attached to it based on target's agility. Very interesting disruptor and speedster punisher. Watch out, ninjas. DoD keeps this from being rated higher. Workhorse has told me multiple times. I worry about DoD way too much, but I feel like any of my fellow hunters can feel missing is dumb, and I hate it. So DoD will always be considered and worried about and not liked. So I think to make this interesting, because I think this is actually quite underpowered for tier 3. To keep this interesting, I would turn this into an AoE with like a 70% chance to slow everybody, right? Maybe 60. Maybe a 60% chance to slow everybody, and then deals damage equal to the target's agility. That way it would spread out. It would deal more damage to faster units and less damage to slower units. So slow tanks in the front line would still be pretty dang okay from this. And the slow might actually benefit them if they've got a defensive buff on. So I like this. I like the idea of turning it into an AoE. Future proofing, I'm going to give this a 2 again. I think this is going to get reworked. Does your archer care about DOD's nuts? That's right. We got Purification Stone, and I think this is probably one of the lowest rated abilities I've looked at. I think B is probably the lowest I've given anything across all. Across every single thing I've rated. Channel for a duration of X. Cleanse target ally. Target is healed equal to Wisdom Int mod. This is going to get rated even lower right now because Cleanse got nerfed. I'm giving this a 1 out of 5 on future proof. It's going to be reworked. This is not going to... All of tier 3 is not going to be the same. It's going to be a complete and total change to tier 3. I don't even think they're going to keep the same like idea for the majority of tier 3. It's going to be completely reworked. Yeah, it's just a cleanse and a heal later. And yeah, I know I like to say the words mental deterrent, but like, this wouldn't deter me much. Also, it's counterable. It's channeled, right? It's not a delay. It'd be more interesting if this was a delay rather than a channel. But yeah, I think I would rate this even lower. I'd rate this a C at the moment. As much as I love Cleanse, don't get me wrong. But since the nerf, it's not really that great. And the fact that you can be disrupted by what? How many things interrupt now? Interrupt. Let's see. We've got push and pull. We've got banish, confused, daze, disarm, exhausted, fear, silenced, sleep, and stun. There is 11 different status effects right now that counter a channeled ability. That's nuts. This is getting reworked entirely. This isn't even going to keep the same. These words that you see right here are getting deleted. This is going away. Yeah, I agree, Rebecca. If it's a channel, it has to be Purify minimum. And if it's changed to Purify, it's keeping its B rating. Like, so much more has to be added to this to make this even remotely, like, competitive with the other two. It's just not a good ability in its own tier, especially when you see like with priests, their tier 3s are all way better. Archer, the tier 3s are insane. Tier 3s are insanely good. You have to channel and you get a cleanse and a heal. Like, that's nothing. This is Garbo. Right in the trash it goes. Can't wait to see what they've changed this to. So we're going to our tier 4s, right? We got Counterspell in the Oracle tree. Just FYI, I think this was the first WoWE ability. I made. No, that's not true. The first WoWy ability was the Berserker's Final Rites. Berserker got the first WoWy. Seer, I think, got the second. I'm pretty sure it did. Oh, Priest. Priest got a WoWy. Holy shock. But yeah, this was the earliest WoWy we could possibly get, right? In a tier 4. So we've got Counterspell. Then, you know what? I bet you guys can't see this that well, so I'm going to go ahead and try and... Uh-oh. Where's the zoom tool? Where the hell? Oh, that's right. I don't have the permissions. You know what? Hold on one sec. I'm going to switch my permissions over. All right, how's that? It's much better, right? So we're looking at Counterspell. Might even pump this up a little more. Dang, look at that. All right, so Counterspell. The next enemy magical damage ability to target this ally over a duration of X does not resolve. Once targeted, this ally is healed equal to spell, whiz, luck. This is nuts, right? My old remarks, which I'm pretty sure I still feel today, where this is the craziest counterplay ability we've seen so far. Use this to directly counter any spell targeting yourself or an ally. If timed well, you'll even turn their attacks on you into a heal. The luck scaling makes me think that this is a cross-class pick, and they're going to love this. Right? Whiz luck. Your thief is going to love this. Thief's going to love this. Right? Because not only, you don't have to have whiz, you can have luck as well. And this isn't a... this is a complete damage mitigation as well as a heal. If you time it right, right? So if you've got, you're against a magic team of some sort, quick scenario, magic team of some sort, not only do you just counter them every single turn with Counterspell, but you just benefit your team. Like, oh no, I've got my warrior is at 1 HP. It's gonna get one hit, and the next one they've got two wizards on the other side, right? He's done for. Well, if you put this bad boy on him, not only does he not take damage, therefore not dying, but then he gets healed and can live to beat the shit out of somebody else another day. Like, this is so good. It's unbelievable. I give this a 2 out of 5 on future proofing. If anything, this is going right into tier 5 if it stays the same. They're probably going to make this a little bit less impactful. And if they don't, they're making it more impactful, and they're going to place it higher in the tier list, right? So this is still insanely good. Like, imagine having Counterspell right now against the Rock Box, right? Which is good. We got Chrono Purge in the Astrologer for tier 4. Dispel target enemy. Delay X, deal magic damage. I love this. I think in terms of future proofing, this is like a 4. It's pretty... I think this is pretty good as is right now. Like, this is something we would see live. It's just great. My old remarks, and this is from like a year ago. I'm trying to remember when Seer came out before, but I think this is like 14 months ago we went through this. Let's see. Dispels your target of all their buffs and resets them to nothing, right? That's just bam, right away. It just dispels your target. You got Grunt on your boars. You know, that thing that gives them more evasion, that thing that gives them more attack, right? Or say you just survived a rampage, but that rampage buff on the mama boar is going to give her way too much speed and you're going to die. Guess what? Dispel. It no longer has that. It just doesn't get that now. There's no benefit. Bam. This would be perfect for undoing multiple turns worth of setup and has no DOD. Isn't that great? A heal follows up after a delay and puts the cherry on top. That's just, like, honestly, if it was just dispel target enemy, this would be nuts, right? Oh, shit. There we go. Bam, let's format that because I think that that's going to stay. I think this is staying. This is really good. Let's see what do we got here. Artificer Rejuvenation Stone. If you haven't noticed so far, everything in the Artificer is throwing rocks. Throwing and or eating rocks is the Artificer's game here. Channel for a duration of X. Don't like that. Heal target for a wisdom and spell, or wisdom spell in function. My old remarks were heal will likely be very large. It has to be in order to keep up with the power of the other two things. However, the channel opens up opportunities to be encountered by interrupts, and it's just boring. It's just boring. The Artificer so far has the worst abilities across the board, right? The Artificer tree in general, I'm giving a 1 out of 5 in future proof as is. Like, the Artificer is probably going to have the most reworks done to it by far. This is a just like the Purification Stone, and just like Warstone before it. Rejuvenation Stone is Garbo Poo Poo and is going right into the trash, and we're going to flush it into Montego Bay where it belongs. That being said, tier 5s, right? We've got Divination from the Oracle Tree. I'm going to zoom in on that just in case anyone's having a hard time seeing it. Bam, look at that. Ooh, beautiful. The next ability, target ally casts. Good God. The next ability, target ally casts costs X% less mana. Delay X, heal target for spell whiz int mod. This is great. This is insanely good. How many times have you just wished? No, how many times have you gone into a long-winded battle and you've gotten down to the, like, to Mama Boar, right? And your damage dealers are out of mana now, and everyone is just basic attacking into the wind. This gives you this will probably reduce the cost to a point where you can possibly cast something. I have to make this actually future proof and to make this really interesting and work. The next ability, ally casts costs 100% less mana. That's where the benefit would come into this, right? If my Seer has to cast a 50 mana spell so that my Archer can cast a 19 mana spell, that's worth it to me. Like, this is fantastic. So you're basically using your Seer as a mana battery for your other units with this ability. I think this is fantastic. I love this. I think it's simple. I think it's sweet. I give it a 4 out of 5 on future proof, 3 out of 5 on future proofing. They're definitely going to add more to this and change it in some regard. They may turn this into a self-fulfilling mana battery, right? As in, for a duration of X, if you're the recipient of this buff will gain, X% mana back if they, hit or deal damage or something along those lines. That would make this better. Let's see. We got astrologer, clairvoyance. Big fan of astrologer. You know me. The next X abilities: target ally casts cost X% less mana. Target ally gains X% pierce for a duration of X. This is so dang good. This is so good. This is one of those things that you cast at the very beginning of the battle, and it's just good. If you cast this on your archer, it gives it more sustain for doing abilities longer, and then the pierce just makes you do more damage overall. This is probably more finely paired with critical strike damage maxis, right? The more critical strike chance you have, the more your pierce damage does, period. And Sticks in turn, I completely agree with you. Mana battery abilities are not what they want. I know you're predicting a full rework / removal on launch. I would probably agree with you on that. I would like the Seer to be, if nothing else, if they never give us a mana battery at all, I would like the Seer to be the only proprietor of it. I would like there to be like, okay, there is a way you can do it, but you have to have this specific class with this specific ability. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? Because long fights are just like in terms of game design, right? Let me adjust my creaky chair. In terms of game design, the devs want you to have fun, right? And when you're in the boar fight and you kill the 2 baby boars and you've just got mama boar and you're all out of mana and you're just basic attacking for the next 20 rounds of combat, that's not fun. Right? That's not fun. They want you to have fun. And fun in this aspect is going to be, I get to use abilities. I get to have some sort of counterplay, but I want to play the game, not just auto attack, not just like be a manual auto attack simulator, right? Which I'm sure they're going to do something about, and that's not going to have any impact on us for a long time until we're way into the higher levels where, you know, we can hold out doing abilities all the time, right? But running out of mana is most likely going to be a death sentence to anybody, especially if, you know, we get into late game raids, we're fighting dragons and stuff, and you're just going, I just don't have the mana to like literally continue going, right? My battle budget is spent. I've spent all of my my potions on MP potions because I can stay alive, right? That's not the issue. The issue is I'm just running out of mana. And you can't really go, well, I guess I'll just make new characters and focus mana growth. That's not the answer, right? There's got to be some function to stabilize yourself in a marathon, right? You have to be able to run a marathon in games like these because everything's so resource dependent. And that's why I think, like, yes, they don't like mana batteries because they think you're getting a lot of resources for free, right? They don't like mana replenishment. They think you're getting resources for free, and they don't want people to cheese it with, okay, let's go into a fight with level 1s and then just spam the mana replenishment function for all of us so we can get back to full mana. Then we just one hit these level 1s, and then we continue on without having to use some sort of resource to replenish mana, right? That's what that's what they want to avoid, and I don't blame them for that. But at the same time, like, there has to be an answer there. And the answer can't just be, well, I have to dip into my battle budget. Because then all I'm doing is using my battle budget on MP potions. If I'm the latest game and I've got the best gear humanly possible, that's all I'm going to be using my stuff on. And I'd rather have a more fun choice with utilizing my battle budget than to reset for a fight. Like, that's the way I see it. I think there is a debate, and I can see why they don't want it to go a certain way, but at the same time the actual answer to the puzzle, and it's unfortunate, is they have to come up with something to be the compromise. Because you can't just not have it. You can't just not have it. You can make it so it's not cheesable, or it's difficult to cheese, or you don't get more benefit out of cheesing it than you would in a regular encounter, right? But that's on the dev side. But in terms of like, the player and customer experience, they have to have fun while doing something, right? And then auto attacking forever is just not fun. And you can't say, well, it's your fault because you didn't bring enough MP potions, or you were too loosey-goosey with your abilities. And it's like, well, there was the challenge that you put in front of me, and I finished the challenge, but I've got 16 more rounds of combat to go, and I'm empty. And there was no other way for me to beat that challenge before. So that's kind of the give and take. That's the tug of war that's going on right now. And it's why they say they're having internal conversations about it. You know what I mean? Like, they're saying they're having internal conversations about it, and they don't like it because it's so easy and simple to cheese with. They just have to figure out a way to make it not cheesable. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk on MP batteries and why they're so important. So this is technically a marathon type ability, clairvoyance. This is a marathon type ability where the next X abilities target ally casts cost X% less mana. This is just insane. This also, having no MP battery means that the value of efficient is so much higher. So efficient, if you're going on like any sort of marathon expeditions or anything like that, any sort of like back-to-back encounters, efficient is going to be the most important passive to have in the game, right? If you've got, you'll have to have double efficient on everything to reduce mana consumption. You're going to have seers that are using this ability to make sure that mana consumption is at the least it could possibly be, right? You're going to be using seers to just be the mana battery, if this is how they're going to work, right? And if they take this out, well, then only efficient is going to be the only way to withstand any sort of why can't I think of the word for it? Some sort of like endless rounds, right? If you're going to like a tower climb kind of event where you're just using resource after resource after resource to just see how far you could possibly get. So a gauntlet, maybe? No. But that's just the way that I see that, right? Something's got to be fixed. But barrier stone for artificer, right? Channel for a duration of X, meh. Target gains barrier equal to X% of the target's max HP. Now I'm excited. And the X percentage is specifically a function of Wiz this time. It's not a flat X. It's not an X plus a Wiz function. It is specifically just a Wiz function. So, take that as you will. Paladins rejoice. Delay X, target is healed equal to the same value as the applied barrier. This is something. This is worth a channel to me. And my old remarks were a channeled shield that gives you a heal at the end of the shield's duration. Crazy good sustainability skill. I agree with me. I think I've got good points here. I think this is low on the future proofing. I think they're going to change I think they're going to keep the feel of it, where the target gains a barrier and then is healed. I think they're going to keep that. I think they're going to add more to it to make it more interesting and to have the impact of other tier 5s. because some of the tier 5s are insanely good. Oh, good morning, everybody, by the way. Koichi Chian. Good to see you again. Hope you're enjoying your winnings from the streamathon before. Beholder and DFK, what's up, man? Good morning. But yeah, Seer. I think this has probably got like a 2 out of 5 on future proof. If it stays the same, they're adding a bunch to this. They're just adding a ton. These two, I think, are going to get changed no matter what. I think Sticks Intern's right because of the conversations that the comments we've heard from Hubert. These are probably getting deleted and changed with something else entirely. This one's probably got like a 2 out of 5 on sticking around. If anything, more is going to get added to it. Like, for instance, channel for a duration of X, target gains a barrier, right? And then target is healed after a delay. If the barrier is popped, deal damage based off of, the whiz modifier of the caster to the target that breaks the barrier. Like, that's what that's how I see this becoming more alive. Other than that, I think this is pretty straightforward. I actually like this ability. Out of all of the Artificer abilities we've seen, this is probably the one that I'd say is the best. Because we've seen, Warstone, Purification Stone, Rejuvenation Stone. All of these are garbo poo-poo, flush it down the toilet. The Artificer passive is insanely good. But it's actually not that great on the Seer itself. Like, if this was just a Seer, the Artificer passive is actually the worst. If this is on any other class that's got good HP scaling, it's fantastic. It's incredible. This is the best subclass skill I've ever seen, right? But this is what we could see in terms of like what to expect with the Seer Codex. I don't know when the Seer Codex is coming out. I can't wait for it to come out. Obviously, Maddie and I of the Bogside crew, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Are we in We're not in EST. We're in EDT now. We're Daylight Time, Eastern Standard Time, EDT. We're going to go over the Seer Codex. We're going to see what all is different, right? Most of this is going to change. We'll see how they rein in Counterspell. We'll see how they make Purification Stone actually usable. Or how they make me actually want to use it over, a priest's tier 3 ability. Because, come on, Purify and Unstoppable with a heal versus I have to channel for a duration. I get a cleanse, not a Purify, and then a heal. This is just it's the same but much worse than the priest's tier 3. I can't wait to see how they make me want to choose that over it, right? But that's it. That's all I got right now for what we're going to be talking about this year. I'll take questions for sure. Questions, speculation. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to think? Right? Just let me know what you're thinking. In the meantime, I already told you. I told you guys I picked up this new game. I've been really wanting to play it, try and figure it out. It's called. Let's see. It's called Unicorn Overlord, which is an interesting title for this game, but I don't think that's exactly what it should be referred to as. It's a real-time strategy tactics game, and it seems pretty cool. Hopefully this works out. Let's see. Do the Berserker now. Let's see. Any particular reason why you want to hear Berserker? Like this stuff's all getting redone too. Even though they've already redone it. And what do you think of the Fallout TV series on Amazon Prime? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. As much as I like love the fandom, and I mean, yeah, Bethesda's got its ups and downs for sure. I have never played through a Fallout game ever. And when I saw that Fallout was getting its TV series, I was excited because I think a lot more gaming uh, properties should be getting more Hollywood attention, if that makes sense. Um, but all I could think of when I saw the promo for Fallout in general was, oh man, I really hope that guy finds the rest of his nose, because I have no idea what that character is. But Sticks Intern, what do you want to know about the Berserker? I'm a huge fan of the Berserker class. Um, just personally, I think Berserker is going to be probably the go-to DPS class for a majority of, I think, all low-level play is just going to be dominated by Berserkers. Bees, you think this is the best show you've seen in a long time, really? Dang. All right, I'll have to give it a shot. So what about so for someone who hasn't played the game, how do you think how do you think I'll be taking this show, right? Because I know it's an interesting story, but like from a non like nostalgic perspective, is there a ton of substance? So Hubert mentioned before about reworking channeling. Maybe those changes will make artificer skills better. Dude, I freaking hope. I really hope. Like, channeling is such an interesting thing. Like, if they just straight up went from like channels don't exist, everything that is a channel is a delay now, and delays can be interrupted. Like, I'd be all about that. Um, I enjoyed it very much. I used to love that game. All right, yeah, yeah. I've heard, like, I've got a ton of friends that love the Fallout series, but I just never. I was a GameCube kid and a PlayStation 2 kid. I didn't get my first Xbox until like, geez, like 2009, right? And like I just missed the Fallout train completely. Like I barely played any Oblivion, right? Like Skyrim was my first Bethesda game that I like really got into. Um I just missed the train on it. And then Fallout 76 came out and I was like, this is garbage when it was still an early release. I was like, why would anyone play this? Because it had so many issues with it. Um I just got timed bad. Let's see. Do the whole thing. Maybe do the whole Berserker. What's future proof and what's not in the 1 to 5 tiers from Berserker. Well, I can tell you this much. I'm gonna give the Berserker probably like a 2 out of 5 for future proof on everything 1 through 5. Because I mean, I don't think they're going to. There's no way they're not going to add in more words. And the only way it stays future proof is if all of the percent chances for effects to happen are just stupid high. It's the only way it stays the same. Which one of its moves is most likely to be reworked by launch? I never played the game, never played any Fallout. You loved it? Okay, yeah. I'll give it a shot. So you guys are making me want to watch the series. I know the Fallout series so far has been heavily suggested to me, and the Halo series. I heard that like the beginning of the Halo series was not super duper, but like the like rest of the first season or the second season or whatever that came out, I've heard that has just been like insanely good as well. So I got 2 shows to watch. It's gonna be great. No more lazy Sunday streams. I'm just gonna be watching TV all day. We literally watch the show right now. We've been binge watching since last night. That's the only way to watch, right? People were like, "Well, how have you been watching Kenobi?" And it's like, "Is it done yet?" And they're like, "No, it's still got like 6 weeks left in order for all those shows to be." I was like, "I'm gonna watch it then because I can't just watch one episode per week. I gotta watch all of them." Let's see, seconded on the Berserker request. Oh my god. I've been watching the entire thing 2.5 times. Jeez. 6 interim. Video game TV show a file. Let's see. Which Seer moves do you think are the most likely to get amnesia added? That's a great question, friends. It seems like amnesia meta is the way is here to stay. Okay, so I actually have a huge discussion topic that I've been holding back from because I want to give the devs their space, right? But oh my god, what the shit? Oh, that's the end of my drink. Get one ghost ant in your house, I swear to god, and like the next 5 minutes later they're just like everywhere. How the hell? Springtime in Florida, guys. Little teeny tiny ants that just never go away. Steal your drink. Man, I was into that Fresca too. But yeah, the amnesia thing. So I think that amnesia realistically should be added to every single ability outside of tier 1s. And I think that all tier this is just the way I feel, right? Like get your pitchforks and your torches ready, right? I think all tier 1 abilities should be passives that augment your basic ability. Oh my god, you guys are going nuts. Season 2 of Halo is fire. Yeah, I've heard. It's on my list of like I have to watch it. You had your issues with season 2? Damn. Hi Iggy. What's up, buddy? Did you sleep on your leg weird and now it's asleep? Hey Bubba. Let's see, like why make a whole separate silver universe with all 3? Oh, hey, is that spoilers? Is that spoilers? Because I'm going to tell you right now, because I didn't have an Xbox, I also never played Halo. My first Halo game was Halo Infinite, which is currently like hanging on by a thread. Yes, Florida is awful, just in general. Yeah, no, I had like a third of this drink left, and there's just I thought I got rid of these ants. Like, I've been actively trying to get rid of these ants for a week now, and they were gone. They were just gone, right? And I'm 2/3 of the way through my can of soda here, and I just look down and there's ants all over it. Like, there's been no sighting of one in the last like 3 days, and apparently they were just like chomping at the bit waiting for me to put a can of soda down. Oh man, I hope they don't amnesia priest heals. Yeah, right. Let's see, it's a fun design idea. Passives to augment basic abilities on tier 1 would be interesting. Yeah, no, like I think that's how basic attack should be, right? It should be I basic attack and there's an effect added to it, right? The effect doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be crazy impactful, but I want my basic attacks to do something other than a little bit of damage over the course of forever, right? Especially if I want to gear towards making a specific type of build, right? Or trying to work around something. Or, I mean, you could even have like, okay, a 35% chance to do a bleed at, half of its regular value, right? It's like it's a low chance, the bleed's not going to be super impactful, but it'll be something over the course of time, right? Because if you're just throwing basic attacks out like crazy, yeah, it's going to be a bleed at half power, but it's going to be, stacked up over time and eventually snowball into something very useful. just for instance, right? But this is the way, like, so the amnesia discussion I've been holding back from, because again, like I said, I want the devs to just do their thing. I don't want to influence too hard, but I think I'll just start over. I think all tier 1s should be passives that augment the basic attack, and I think the basic attack should just do something extra, period, no matter what. And then level 2 should be a passive that like gives you a class identity. So between the basic attack and between the passive, you've got like a pretty set identity with your class and or subclass, right? And I think having a subclass with your tier 1, and like, so you get tier 1 from your main class, tier 2 from your, or tier 1 from your subclass. Now your basic attack has this neat combination that just drives it home, right? Obviously all of these would be not very impactful, but combined, especially since, like, you know, you can have access to your subclass at level 15. I guess level 2. But I think they shouldn't like allow you to dump, like, to pick into your subclass until level 15 anyway. Just personal opinion. Right, maybe 16. Not until you've got a tier 5 unlocked, right? I think that I think almost every other ability should have amnesia added to it, period. Just period. I think every other ability should have some sort of a cooldown, like what they did with One Small Stone, right? One Small Stone was given amnesia. I do not have the update. I think it's Amnesia 2, right? Bam. And I think they should all, I think all abilities should be slightly more impactful, and I think they should all have amnesia or some sort of a cooldown attached to them, right? So you can blow your whole wad at the very beginning of the match, and then you're playing around cooldowns. I think that's how it should be, because in order to, like what we were just talking about earlier, right? We were talking about the issues with mana and mana batteries, right? They don't want to introduce mana batteries because they don't like it. Well, if you don't want me to be throwing out a ton of mana every single second I possibly can, the answers that I can put in right now, just from the perspective of a developer, is incentivize me using something other than mana and make it so I can't spend as much as quickly. Just that's those are the two ideas I've got right now, right? Does that include, but not limited to, utilizing other class specific resources? Absolutely not. I think warriors should have rage. I think monks should have focus. I think berserkers should have some sort of fury that they build up over time and then are able to use their abilities for either a discounted rate or for instead of mana, you can use fury, right? And for pirates, right, have a bounty system where, you know, your abilities get you like gold in the battle, and then you can spend the gold you've made, your battle gold, on abilities and not have to use your mana. But you can use your mana, right? But if you want to make the game last longer, if you want to be able to use your abilities further out, let's spend some battle gold, right? I think those are really, really, really good ways to circumvent the I've got shit rolls on MP, right? I can only, you know, on my warrior, I've got terrible rolls on my warrior for MP. I can use 4 abilities and then I'm basic attacking unless I just pump them full of MP potions, and that's all I get. I got 4 turns of using, you know, 1.5 rotations of the warrior damage rotation, and then I'm spent. I gotta spend part of my battle budget on regenerating a third of its capability, which allows me to finish off the second half of the rotation. And now I've just got basic attacks that just deal damage and nothing interesting to look forward to ever again. I think that if they were to do class specific resource generation, right? Like thieves have energy at the very beginning. They've got a full bar of energy, just like rogues in WoW, right? You've got a full bar of energy, and you can use your energy on your abilities, and your energy replenishes every round, right? A certain amount, you get a certain amount of energy every single round. And yeah, sure, you can mod it based off of, like, say, your agility or something like that. You get more energy per round per, like, stacking, like, agility.s, right, formula. And I get to spend, if I've got a certain, like, these abilities cost either a certain amount of energy or they cost the mana. So when I'm out of mana, well, I can't just spam abilities. I'm going to have to wait 3 rounds to get enough to use the ability I want. And in the meantime, I'm using basic attacks. But at least I'm incentivized to use my basic attacks because there's a additional benefit on my basic attacks, right? This is just the thoughts I wanted to throw out to the devs. I'm pretty sure they're not watching right now, right? They're not going to yell at me, right? It's Sunday. They're off. And you know what? Screw those ants. That was stupid ants. Like, that was a decoy drink. I got another Fresca right here on the other side of the desk now. Idiots. Stupid ants. I'm very upset about this. They definitely got me. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Basic attacks, incentivize using basic attacks by giving them some sort of additional benefit as a passive, and then having your class specifics, right? So I mean, and this is just off the top of my head, right? I think that, like, so say your subclass, right? Say you also get that class, that subclass's generative resource as well, right? Oh wait, Fresca. Yeah, this is my nephew got my nephew gave me this because he drinks seltzers and he's like, I accidentally got the sweet Frescas. Do you want them? And I'm like, shit, yeah, man. I'll take a Fresca. This is the grapefruit citrus original Fresca. It's fan-freaking-tastic. It's got I got a sweet tooth. I can't help it. Like, I can't drink sparkling water. I can't drink the friggin' like LaCroix. I can't do that, man. It just tastes like a burp. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just terrible. But these I can do these. These are great. the devs are always watching and listening. Always. KP, I want that on a shirt. I want that on a shirt. I want it with just like a hacker, right? With sunglasses on. It's like they're always watching and listening. Devs are always taking inspiration. Yeah, is that a threat, KP? Let's see. I'm too busy buying meme coins. Man, I wish I was in the meme coin market right now. This recent dip has been substantial and incredible. And I want a DCA in, but I'm just not there at the moment. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts? How would you feel if that's like how it was played out? Or maybe even like tier 1 you get your ability, but you know, everyone gets to augment their basic ability from like the get-go. Like, just for creating your character, you get an ability from your level, from your tier 1s, and you get to augment your basic ability in some way. They may be able to do like weapon specific. Like, these weapons give you access to these types of basic attacks. Which I think the weapons themselves have an additional effect, right? Like the mace gives you a 5% chance to daze, and I think the dagger gives you a 5% chance to apply a bleed. But in my opinion, that's not impactful enough, right? Like, I think it needs to be like a 35% chance to apply a bleed, a 15% chance to daze. Things along those lines. It's true. That's right, friends. If the basic attack augmentation was on the weapons, we're always swapping that out. Unless it's every mason or every. I think it is every mason, every dagger. It has like those little teeny tiny chances attached to it. I mean, if it's specific to the guild issue ones, I think that'd be pretty cool because then you could like scale with your weapon. Scholar, what's the lore? What was the lore with scholars? I think they were I think they're overall just nerds, man. I think that but I mean, I think they're like a seer and a wizard put together, where scholars are supportive, and I think they're just supportive actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, they have arcane power, right? And they can do a lot of stuff with arcane power. Um, but the majority of it all is support rather than being offensive. Not to say they can't be offensive. Everyone can deal damage in some way, shape, or form, but the majority of what the artificer does is support. Which, oh my god, arcane power is a great example of what I'm talking about with a class-based resource. So wizards have arcane power, right? Imagine if, for instance, you can use arcane power to cast the base level spell rather than going into your mana. Like, we already have a class specific resource generating mechanic here, right? So if we had warriors that have rage, right, and we're just taking example from like World of Warcraft, right? So we've got rage on a warrior. So yeah, no, Goldeneye, thank you. I appreciated that. I appreciate that. But let's say we've got rage on a warrior, right? Or better yet, let's say we've got focus on an archer, right? Certain abilities can cost more or less focus, and they can generate more or less focus, right? Just like how arcane power does. It's like you use arcane power to empower your abilities. Well, what if the other ones just had regular abilities that just cost their specific resource generation, right? It's just the way I see it, to make more things more interesting in the long run, and to make it so, like, say you've got two perfect teams in PvP and you're going up against each other, and you guys have been able to counter each other all the way down to everybody on both teams have 0 mana. Well, what do I do now? Is it just a basic attack fight to the end? That's not fun. That's not fun to play. That's not fun to watch, right? And that's the worst case scenario for the game dev. So how do you remedy that? It has to be something you generate over time. It has to be an optional reward to use later for the work and effort you've put in during the fight. right? There's got to be some sort of, I can get back into the fight somehow. I can make a play somehow. In 2 turns, I'm going to have enough to use this ability again, and in 3 turns, I'm going to have enough on my other hero to capitalize on it. Right? There's got to be something along the line. Now, I know Berserker was requested and then seconded, so I guess I have to go through it. We'll do the tier 5s, or the 1 through 5 on the Berserker. How much time do I got? I've been streaming for 2 hours now. Let's see. Do I got enough time to do this? I probably do. Why not? Keep those ants away from my fresco. All right. Tier 1s. We got Berserkier Mushroom. We've got Olfenhar or Olfheonar Mushroom. We've got Yofer Mushroom. Right? The Bear, Wolf, Boar, Trees. All animals I don't want to fight with my bare fists. So first up, we've got Berserker Mushroom. Gain X% basic attack damage, where X equals a % of missing XP, or HP, rather. This is great. I love this. I never want this to go away. This is one of my favorite abilities. This actually goes right into what I've been talking about. Where everything should be a passive, level 1, and augment your basic attack. I think this is great. The more damage you take, the more damage you deal. Berserker after Seer? Nah, man, I don't think so. I think it's gonna be Pirate. Not to sound too matty, but I mean, the first 3 classes we were able to play were Archer, Knight, Priest, right? Those were the first codices we had. It was just those 3 right out the gate. Then the next codex we got was Warrior, and that just happened to be the first additional class we got to play. Now we've got the Seer, which was the next codex we got after Warrior, and has been revealed to be the next playable class as well. I see no reason not to believe that they're going to follow their own release pattern and give us Pirate next. I will say the fact that you can get a Berserker axe, or not the Berserker axe, but the Boar axe rather than a gun from the Pirate is pretty telling. But I think everything... I don't see why they wouldn't throw them both out, other than the fact that they're just not balanced yet. But, I mean, I think everything would already be implemented for Berserker. Like, there's no additional, like, overworld mechanics that needs to be implemented for the Berserker to live. I think the Pirate's good to go because, like, Delay is already active. The abilities just need to be programmed in. But, like, for Wizard, specifically, Arcane Power, that functionality has to be created still. So, like, that's less likely to come out next. Thief, we've already got battle budget, right? But implementing the ability to change and affect the battle budget might not exist yet, so that might be a reason not to believe that this would be coming out next. Legionnaire, I think the only thing that they have... No, Retaliate's already live. And Retaliate's already live. I think we've seen some riposte. I don't think there's anything in particular in the Legionnaire. Like, so Legionnaire could probably come out, because I think, like, overarchingly, there's nothing stopping it from just being made. Like, there's not another mechanic that needs to be implemented into the game for it to, like, have use of its abilities. I think Monk is also a good pick, because, I mean, reposition exists. Block, retaliate exist. Like, these things aren't, nothing additional has to be built to bring them in. And then Scholar also has arcane power. So I would say, out of all of the classes to come out, Wizard, Thief, Scholar are the ones that we shouldn't expect. And then anything between Monk, Legionnaire, Pirate, and Berserker are perfectly fine expectations. Let's see. Legionnaire would be last because of Disarm. They did say that, didn't they? But, I mean, I don't see how Disarm could possibly be that hard to do. Again, I'm not a programmer, so I may be very offensive with saying that. But that would make sense. Monk and Legionnaire having, like, Disarm and that not being in the game yet. So I guess that would just leave Pirate and Berserker open to be in the next one. And because they've done pretty much in their own order already, I mean, we could just reasonably expect Pirate to be next, because that was just what was in their original order. But, now that I'm thinking about it, Berserker was actually the first one they revealed. Franz, you got me rethinking this now. Berserker was the first class they revealed. They gave us the first, what? They gave us the first 5 tiers, I believe, in the very, very, very beginning. I think they said it needs a subclass. Really? You switch to secondary weapon when you're disarmed. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. What if you're disarmed twice? No weapon for you. Interesting take. But yeah, I'm gonna go with them. I wouldn't put it past Bolon to be like, all right, can we put out, like, can we put out the Thief instead, just to make sure that we keep everyone on their toes and not to expect anything that they think they might be expecting. No pattern recognition allowed in here. Let's see. Yeah, disarmed twice. We're down to, we just got to be bopping each other now. Everyone should have guild issued sock'em boppers for when they're double disarmed. Guild issue Hulk hands. So yeah, I think this one right here, I think, is 5 out of 5 future proof. I think the gain basic attack damage when you're missing a certain percentage of health, it's perfect. It's elegant. It's high fantasy. It's completely on brand for the Berserker. It's easy. I think it's 5 out of 5. I don't think that's changing. I think that's staying forever. Berserker Mushroom rules. Value of 1% and 1.5% speed bunny heads. That is all I'm getting lately. So Dragon Mask has no enchantment, just 2 slots. Right. I don't think the I don't think the bunny helmets are that crazy impactful. I think they're very important, especially right now since there's, like, no gear out there. I think Dragon Mask is really cool, especially because it has 2 enchant slots. But I think the value you're getting out of the bunny heads right now is infinitely more than you're getting out of anything else. I guess I'll just say that. If you're using any other Visage or you're using any like anything that doesn't have stats on it, you're better off having some stats. 1% speed's better than 0%. But let's see. Ulfheonar mushroom. For each instance this hero deals damage, gain X% increased basic attack damage. This amount stacks up to a maximum. I love this. This is super cool. Again, I love that it's a passive. It just augments your basic attack. It's perfect. I love this. 5 out of 5. Like, I think this is a very fair ability. It just stacks it to incentivize me to use my basic attack. Let's see. Yofer mushroom. For each instance this hero takes damage, gain X% basic attack damage. This amount stacks. I mean, yeah. Make my tanks hit harder. I love that idea. So I'm either spending resources on being defensive, or I'm spending no resources to being more offensive. I love this. I love both of these. I love both of these. Especially if, like, let's say I've got a wizard berserker, and I go for the Ulfheonar mushroom. Like, yeah, my basic attacks probably aren't going to hit, but they're going to be based off spell, not attack. And this is basic attack damage, which means it's going into my spell damage or spell formula for my basic attack rather than just physical attack. So everyone can make use of these. And then if I'm a defensive person who doesn't really want to care about doing that, I get to do this one. And now I don't have to spend my time doing basic attacks while they do nothing. My basic attacks will just do something later. God, I love these. What a great tier 1 this is. I think, adding a little bit more to it might make it more fun and interesting, but as far as tier 1s go, these are great. Tier 2s, we've got our passive abilities. We got Bear Skin, Wolf Pelt, and Boar Hide. For Bear, we've got X% effective physical defense in combat. For Wolf, we've got X% effective evasion in combat. And for Boar, we've got X% effective basic attack increase in combat. I think these are all a 2 out of 5 in terms of future proof. There's no way Beetle Dude, Magnus, Workhorse, or Hubert are going to allow this to be this basic. There's just no way. I think they're going to keep the basic idea of we want the bear to be tanky, we want the wolf to be like evasive, and we want the boar to like be offensive. I think they're going to keep those themes, but they're definitely got like I remember Hubert's comments about physical defense edition being a little too overtuned on the knight. So rather than giving physical defense, it might do something else to mitigate or give you a chance to mitigate or something along those lines. I think evasion is going to be very, very, very powerful in this case. Because, I mean, a paladin berserker with double foresight, like, say this is 5%, right? You're already at a 21% additional mischance against you. Like, that's just insanely good. Just at level 1. And this being only 5%, going based off of, the priests gain 5% spell, right? Just 5%. Like, that's going to be huge. Because they all stack. Now, what's the main counter to this? I'll tell you right now, Scally's Eye. Right? So drop a mean $900 plus, and you get to hit a paladin for once. Boarhide, basic attack increase in combat. This is just fantastic. I love this. Everyone should know by now that I really want to do a basic attack build more than anything in the world. I just love that. Let's see. Tier 3s. We got Bear's Bloodlust, which I think is one of the better attacks or abilities in the game. Self-inflict damage. Obviously not going to love that. But you would if you were Berserker Mushroom, where you deal more damage the more HP you're missing. Self-inflict damage. Gain increased basic attack damage equal to your Vite function for a duration of X. This is awesome. This is just incredible. Super duper. If you have a warrior subclass and you're going for Furious Cleave, where your basic attacks gain cleave, like it's just great. I love this. What else we got? We got Howl. Oh, in terms of future proof, let's see. Self-inflicted damage. Let's see. I think in terms of future proofing, this is probably a 4 out of 5, to be honest. I don't think they're going to change much to this. And if they do, it's going to be the increased basic attack. I think it's going to increase damage in some way, but they might not have the formula be exactly this. And they might actually give you increased defensive capability as well from dealing damage to yourself to offset that a little bit, make it more valuable. For the wolf, we've got Howl. Unleash a furious howl that terrifies all enemies. Love that. Reduce damage dealt by all enemies by X% for a duration of X. This is already in the warrior codex. I think this is going to get reworked. So that's not the same. Because the warrior already has what is that? It was like a challenging roar or something like that. And this is just a AoE intimidate, which is exactly what the warrior's tier 1 right ability is. When I go into work, I'm gonna say that's some furious cleave, honey. That's perfect. I think this is getting reworked. Howl's getting reworked completely. Maybe not completely. I'm still giving it a 1 out of 5. Like, this is expect major changes. For Blower, we got Blind Rage. Enter a Blind Rage and slash X times, hitting all enemies randomly and dealing damage equal to X times basic per slash. This is also very close to a warrior ability, and I think in order to differentiate them, they're going to change this again. I think this is a 1 out of 5 future proof. Expect this to be changed pretty hard. Let's see here. Tier 4s. We got Bear's Primal Strength, another passive. You know how much I'm a passive maxi here. Increase effective strength and endurance. This is the Knight's ability right now. They took this and squeezed into the Knight, and quite frankly, it's one of the better Knight abilities. Let's see. Warrior 1 also gives team-wide buff, so Berserker could have just a much higher chance of success and intimidation be differentiated. I mean, it's true. Maybe this is the reason why it has, because the Warrior 1 also has a stack limit of 2. So it might be another Intimidate debuff that works in conjunction, right? So it could be part of the stacks too. But this is why I think it's going to be reworked, is because they're going to make it, they have to make it flavored differently than the Warrior 1, because they do basically the same thing, except the Warrior 1 does more. At the moment, at least. So they're going to have to throw in some, like, Berserker wolfy flavor. You got to throw in a wolf bullion cube into this ability to make it stand out more, right? That's all I mean by that. They're either going to add more to it, or they're going to rework it entirely. But it's not going to stay the same, even remotely. Same thing with Blind Rage. It's the Warriors, what was it? Blade Flurry. Almost exactly. The only difference is one targets one enemy, one targets random enemies. And while I think that's great, there needs to be more differential. So Primal Strength, I would give this... I might give this like a 3 out of 5 on future proofing, because I think this is really good. I think it's elegant. I think it's simple. I think it's really powerful on the knight, and I think having 2 instances, they might change this to like something else. Like it'll be effective strength, maybe even effective luck. Oh, decrease endurance. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think this is gonna stick. I think this is probably gonna be the same. A higher chance of success would make it stand out to me is all. The warrior one is sub 50, I think. I hardly use that for the intimidation. I mostly use it for the team buff. Yeah. No, I totally get that. In response to that comment very specifically, I think this is another reason why we need to have amnesia on more abilities, or all abilities, right? And it's because I would rather opt for a higher percent success rate across the board with the ability to not spam it. Like, that's the trade-off I would want. I would want my ability to do what it says it's going to do more often than to be able to use it every single round. So I'd rather that one have a cooldown of 2, right? I'd rather you use it. I'd rather it like has an 85% chance of success to apply, and then go through the effect resistance calculation of the opposition, right? The opponent, and then I'd rather have that. I'd rather have a higher percent success rate than being able to use it every single turn afterwards. Right? So use it, it lasts 2 turns, the cooldown's 2 turns. I can't, or maybe even 3 turns, right? I can keep it up for forever if I want to, right? But there's always going to be like 1 turn that they aren't affected by the debuff, or it'll give more value to people who are putting more into effect resistance, like endurance, right? Endurance maxis, so that they lessen the success, right? And then punish the people with amnesia. That's the way that could work out. Wolfpack, for each living ally, gain X% increased damage. I like this. I think it's going to be... I give this like a 2 out of 5 on future proof. I think this is going to be reworked, if not entirely, for the most part, and like it'll be called something along the lines of like pack tactics, where like it might do something based off of like if another ally attacked the same target and within a certain duration, increased damage dealt by blah blah blah, rather than a just straight damage buff for each living ally. I think that kind of limits the usefulness of this. The Boar's Wild Frenzy. For each instance this hero basic attacks, gain a chance equal to X%, which is the luck function, to deal an additional basic attack to the enemy target. I love this. I think it's super good. It'd be really interesting if basic attacks were augmented. This is one of the reasons why I like the basic attack build, is because like you do nothing but augment your basic attack for boars, right? The entire time. And then your basic attacks are just very useful. And then your abilities are spent off of basic attacking more. Let's see. Tier 5. We got Spore Coated Blades. Deal damage equal to basic to target enemy. It has a percent chance to poison target as well as the hero. Target receives X% additional damage from this hero for a duration of X. This is just a, like, it's almost an eye for an eye where I know I'm taking damage, but you're taking more. I love this. I love the payoff of it, right? I love here's what I'm anteing, here's my payout, right? It's a risk reward kind of deal, and I'm here for it. I give this probably like a 4 out of 5 future proof. I think if anything happens, it's going to be more refined than like stuff added to it or complete rework, right? Wolf, we got Brutal Act. Deal damage to a random party member equal to strength function. Deal damage to a random enemy equal to strength function. I don't like this. I've never liked this. As you can see, I rated this a B before. I was not a fan. I guess on anyone else's scale, this would be like ranked a D. Oh, Zelis is on? I had no idea. Snap. All right, man. Have fun, Golden Knight. Tell Zelis I said, hey, what's up? Oh, God. Oh, God, an ant. No. Another ant. Get away from my fresco. Don't tell anyone I'm here. Let's see. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Brutal Act. My hope is that this gets reworked into something more interesting, like deal damage to a targeted party member and then deal damage to a random enemy, right? I think that would make this a little bit better. I just don't see how this really functions in a tempo, right? Like there's not really a rotation to this. It doesn't really lead into anything. I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 on future proofing. I think they're going to rework this ability completely. Maybe keep the same concept of ideal, another form of here's what my ante, here's what I want, or here's the benefit I get. And the risk to reward ratio is hopefully high. Hopefully, anyway. And then we've got Boar's Blood Rage, right? Unleash Hell, swirling and swinging axes in all directions, dealing AoE damage to all combatants equal to strength luck, which I love luck on a berserker. Become exhausted. This is the Warriors. I forget. Oh yeah, that's right. This isn't the updated Warrior. It's the Warrior's AoE, except this is a deal damage to everybody, not just the enemy team. I don't like this at all. I think this is a really good option when fighting with three berserkers, but outside of the instance of I'm using 3 berserkers to do this, it's bad. It's real bad. I give this another 1 out of 5 on future proof. I think they're going to change this very heavily, if not completely rework it. My humble opinion. Let's see what Zelly's up to. I mean, you always gotta lurk the homies. You know what I'm saying? There he is. Zan's channel. That's right. Here you go, buddies. In case anyone was interested, they're live right now. Go ahead and link it into chat. Zan and Zellies are just super cool. and I love them both. If you're not tuning into me right now, I would definitely tune into them. Let's see, 6:21. Wow, we really went through the Berserker a lot faster than I thought we were going to. Like a lot faster. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go ahead and finish stream so everybody can tune into them. I'm sure they've got more important things to say than I do right now, and I'm gonna leave you with a promise. Right? I'm not just gonna abandon you. I'm gonna leave you with a promise. I'm gonna stream later tonight after they're done. Right? I might not be on, exactly after they finish, but I am gonna I'm gonna pop on. I'm gonna stream again. Another lazy Sunday casual hangout. This actually turned into way more analytical stuff than I thought it was going to be. But what I'm going to do later instead is I'm going to play some video games. I'm going to play some turn-based video games, and we're just going to shoot the shit. We're just going to shoot the shit with game theory. If at all possible, maybe I should, or maybe somebody else in the community should, clip the bit where I was talking about how I would rework the basic functionality of classes with or how my answer to the mana battery problem would go, and maybe get some dev opinions on that. But with that for right now, I guess I'll go ahead and call it. Everybody show Zan and Zellies some love, right? Pop over into their stream. Tell them I sent you. Tell them I said, what up? And I'll be on later tonight. Bye, everybody.